In today's video, we are going to deal with gravitation from standard 10, and already I have written name of the topic Kepler's law of planetary motion. In previous video, if you remember, we have discussed that Newton were studying the gravitational force, why that apple falls towards the earth surface, how it falls, means what should be the path followed by that apple, and then finally if apple is getting attracted towards earth, then why not earth is getting attracted towards apple. The solution or answers of all these three questions he got, and then he was concluded in that time that the motion of any planet is a self accelerated motion and circular motion around the another planet. For example, moon is revolving around itself also, and then it is revolving around the earth, so that it becomes accelerated motion, and because of this accelerated motion, moon does not get attracted or falls towards the earth. They both are attracting each other, but they are not falling on each other again. This is the basic reason why the planets can retain their path of the orbital. Here Sir Johannes Kepler studied the motion of planets in a detail and gives us three laws. Before that, you should familiar with the geometrical diagram. We called it an ellipse. Oval shaped diagram is called ellipse. Like circle, it do not have a proper center because its diameters on two portions are different. So if I say this is AB and this is CD, then you can see AB is greater than CD. So AB is called major axis, CD is called minor axis. So instead of having center, there are two foci will in plural, S1 and S2. They are such that if I take any point, say point X on the circumference of the ellipse, and if I join from S1 and S2, if I take another point, say point Y, S1 Y and S2Y, then the sum of S1x plus S2x is always equals to sum of S1y plus S2y. This property of ellipse is called as focus directrix property, and here using this property we are going to state three laws. The first law stated by Sir Kepler was law of orbit. Initially Newton were very prompt that planets are revolving around the sun according to Newton in a circular orbit, but Sir Johannes Kepler corrected the statements and gives us very important assumptions that all the planets are revolving in a elliptical orbit. They are revolving in a elliptical orbit around sun, and sun acts as one of the focus of the ellipse. So if suppose this is the position of sun, or this can be position of sun. So if S1 is the position of sun, then planets are revolving around the sun in an elliptical orbit. Because of this, you can see at some instances planets are at shorter distances, but at some instances planets are at longer distances from the sun. And this plays very vital role in a study of the astro and astronomical physics. So first law you should clear about that every planet revolve around the sun in a elliptical orbit. Planet revolve in a elliptical orbit around sun, where sun acts as one of the foci. Okay. Second law is very important. We will call law of equal area. Now in this law, to clear this law, suppose planet P moves from its initial position, say X, and then to final position, say Y. Planet P moves from position X to position Y. So if I trace the area covered by its sector, this area, say it is A1. Now suppose planet were at different position, say x1 moves to another position y1 in the same time which it has taken to move from x to y. Okay, so time is same. So time for xy is suppose t, then time for x1 y1 is also equal to t. Then this area which is covered by line joining the position of planet to sun, this area will also equal to A1. That means if time interval for motion of planet is same, then it will cover equal area by the line joining that planet and sun, and therefore I can state that law in a proper manner. The line joining the planet and sun sweeps out equal areas in equal intervals of time. This one is very important to learn. Interval of times are always same. If intervals of time are same, then the two positions of planet will cover equal and same areas throughout. Okay. Finally, the third law. Before third law, you should define definition of period of rotation, because it is called as law of period. Period of rotation is simple. If I ask you a simple question, how much time Earth takes to revolve around the sun, one complete rotation around the sun, then definitely you will say it is 365 days or a year. So I will say 1 year or 365 days is a time required by Earth to complete one rotation around the sun. This time is called as period of the Earth. Therefore I will say it is the time required to complete one rotation or revolution is called as what? The period. So third law is law of period. According to Kepler, the square of period of planet, that is t square, is directly proportional to the cube of mean distance of that planet from the sun. Square of period of rotation. So if I say R1 is the initial distance, R2 is the next distance, then it is at R3, R4, R5 and so on, say R6. So planet have changed position from say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions, then initial radius are R1 plus R2 plus up to R7, then mean of that will be divided by 7. So whatever the value of that mean will be there, this mean will be used here to state the law. So law is square of period of revolution of planet is directly proportional to cube of mean distance of the planet from the sun. Therefore I will say t square is directly proportional to r cube. Symbols may be different. Okay, so t is period of time required to complete one rotation and r is the mean distance of that planet from the center of the sun. So here I can say it is t square equal to k into r cube, where k is any constant of proportionality, or I can say t square upon r cube is always constant for any planet. This should be keep in mind always. So today we learn about a very important article, Kepler's law of planetary motion. I have explained you the property of ellipse, have a focus directrix properties. If I consider any 2 points on ellipse, if I join that lines to the focus of the ellipse, then sum of these are always remain same. So s1x plus s2x is equals to s2x or s1y plus s2y. Okay. Then we have state already the laws of planetary motion. The first law is law of orbit. In very simple way, बहुत आसान तरीके से हम बता सकते हैं कि हर एक प्लैनेट रिवॉल्व हो रहा है अराउंड द सन, बट दैट ऑर्बिट इज नॉट सर्कुलर, it is the elliptical orbit, okay, where sun acts as one of the foci. Because of this, distance of that planet from sun always varies. Sometime it is near, sometime it is away from the planet. So these distances are called as apogee and perigee. Smallest distance is apogee, longest distance is called perigee. Okay. Then next is law of equal areas. So line joining the planet and sun sweeps out equal areas in equal interval of time. So I have already stated, if these are two positions of planet in time t, then these are two positions of planet in time t, then area in this shaded region will be always same, and this law is called law of equal areas. The third law is law of period. Before that I have defined definition of period. It is the time required to complete one rotation. So what is law of period? It is the square of period of revolution of planet is directly proportional to cube of mean distance of planet from sun. T square directly proportional to r cube. T square equal to k into r cube. K equal to constant of proportionality, or I can say T square upon r cube is always constant. This is very important article for 10th boards exams point of view. This will be definitely asked at least for 3 marks. There are several examples to be solved using these laws. So now when we discuss gravitation, Kepler and Newton, these two persons have tried to explain it in a detail. Next article for us is Newton's law of gravitation. And this law is considered as universal law. It is applicable for all the particles, all the macro, micro and different types of particles which are present in the entire universe. The impact is quite different for different purpose, different planets and different materials, but this law is very useful to study the entire nature of the universe. According to Newton, if suppose there are two objects, say object of mass m1 and another object of mass m2, both are separated by the distance say r from their centers. Distance from their centers is given as what? R. Okay. Now what Newton wants to say is, object A of mass m1 will try to exert force of attraction to object B of mass m2. At the same time B will not remain at rest, वो भी बदला लेगा मतलब क्या करेगा? He will also exert force on object of mass m1. So in very simple way we can say that by AB B को attract कर रहा है और B A को attract कर रहा है. They both are attracting each other. Wherever they are separated in universe, they are always attracting each other. So they are attracting each other. In short, they are exerting force on each other. This force we call the gravitational force. This gravitational force were given in a magnitude by Newton in his law. So his law we can split into two parts. First part I will say, every object in the universe attracts every other object by a definite force. Every object in the universe attracts every other object by definite force. This was the first part of the law. Then second part, that the force is directly proportional to product of the masses of the object This force is directly proportional to product of the masses of the object. He was very sure that if mass of the objects are increases, the force between them also increases. But how it will increase? Then it will increase by the proportion of their product of masses. Okay. Then, and it is inversely proportional to square of the distance between their centers. Force is directly proportional to product of masses of the object and inversely proportional to the square of distance between their centers. Both very simple way. He said that if masses are increases, force will increase. But if distance is increases, force will be decreases. So how it will increase? It will increase by the proportion of product of their masses, and it will decrease by the proportion of square of distance. Is it clear? So if I mathematically write it, then force is directly proportional to product of masses, that is m1 and m2. This force is inversely proportional to square of distance, that is r square. If I combine both the forms, then I can write is F directly proportional to m1 upon m2 upon m1 into m2 upon r square. Therefore, F is equals to G into m1 m2 upon r square. Here again G is a constant of proportionality. G is constant of proportionality and it is called as universal gravitational constant. It is called as what? Universal gravitational constant. Okay. Now from this equation you can find out value of G is equals to, it is F into r square upon m1 into m2. So using this again I can find out SI unit. Look at there. F is force, unit of force is Newton. So I can say SI unit of G is force, that is Newton, distance का square मतलब मीटर का square divided by mass into mass, that is kilogram into kilogram, that is what? Kilogram square. So it is Newton meter square per kilogram square, or you can write it as Newton meter square kilogram raised to minus 2. This law is very important. By Cavendish method, value of G we are find out as G equals to 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram square. This law is valid for all the particles which are present in the universe. So if Newton is correct, then we have some questions, we may have some doubts and questions. एकदम सिंपल तरीके से if I ask here, board is object, myself is also an object, then why I have not attracted towards board and board is not getting attracted towards me? This fan, everything which is kept here, we are not getting attracted towards each other. Then why is Newton wrong? Practically he is not wrong, but there are some conditions which we are going to learn in detail in next article, next video. But here I will again revise in short what we have learned today, Newton's law of gravitation. According to Newton, दो ऑब्जेक्ट यूनिवर्स में कहीं भी हो वो एक दूसरे को अट्रैक्ट करेंगे. अट्रैक्ट करेंगे, तो अट्रैक्ट करेंगे मतलब वो एक्सर्ट करेंगे फोर्स। फोर्स जो एक्सर्ट करेगा वो डिपेंड होगा दो फैक्टर पे। पहला फैक्टर है उनका मास और दूसरा जो फैक्टर है उनके दोनों के सेंटर में जो डिस्टेंस है वो। जितना मास बढ़ेगा उतना फोर्स बढ़ेगा, जितना डिस्टेंस बढ़ेगा उतना फोर्स घटेगा, कम होगा। देन ही वांट्स टू से द सेम थिंग, every object in the universe attracts every other object by a definite force. Force is always definite. If these factors are not changed, then force will be definite. The force is directly proportional to product of their masses, product of the masses of the object, and inversely proportional to square of distance between their centers. Mass बढ़ेगा तो force बढ़ेगा, force will be increased by the multiple of product. डिस्टेंस बढ़ेगा तो फोर्स कम होगा, दैट्स व्हाई इट इज इनवर्सली प्रोपोर्शनल. बट हाउ इट विल गेट डिक्रीजेस, देन इट इज इन अ मल्टीपल ऑफ स्क्वायर ऑफ डिस्टेंस बिटवीन देयर सेंटर. मैथमेटिकली इफ आई राइट द सेम आर्ग्यूमेंट्स हियर, देन f directly proportional to m1 into m2, f inversely proportional to r square. Combining both equations I can get f is directly proportional to m1 into m2 upon r square. Here f is the force, there is proportionality sign, so there should be a constant. This constant g arises here as f equal to g into m1 m2 upon r square. G is constant of proportionality. Here it is known as universal gravitational constant. It is universal means अर्थ पे भी, मून पे भी, मार्स पे जाएंगे, कहीं पे भी जाएंगे, it will remain same. Value of g from this equation is what? f r square upon m1 into m2. F unit of g is very simple, Newton meter square upon kilogram square. You can write in different ways. Value of g we are found out by using Cavendish method, and this method you are going to learn in 11th standard. Now it is there in syllabus. So g equals to 6.67 into 10 raised to minus 11 Newton meter square per kilogram square. So this was for today. It's very important guys, otherwise you won't able to learn this entire lesson and you will be definitely remain incomplete with next lessons also for 11th and 12th standard. So those who are interested in astronomical and astrophysics, for them this is very important article. I hope you have understood this article. We'll meet on next video. Thank you.